What?
On mute.
Hi, Adrienne.
What's up?
Good.
Hey, Adrian.
I'm tired.
Well, who said that? I can't tell.
It's me.
Please stay on mute.
This is your cyclone update for January 13th, 2021, provided by the Hurricane Watch Team.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Hurricane Watch Team is here with your latest update on Tropical Storm Eloise. Here it is as of 1800 UTC, January 21st, 2021. I need to refresh this, make sure it's the... Alright, here it is. Now winds of 70 miles per hour, 990 millibars, 18.4 degrees south, 39.5 degrees east. This is the latest satellite imagery. We will be talking about this storm and its impacts to the country of Mozambique, as it still has a chance of becoming a hurricane, or cyclone rather, I should say, with winds of around 70 knots, 75 miles per hour eventually. Alright, storm surge will be a possibility, and it could potentially have a lot of flooding will be the biggest threat. Today, I have a few guests with me today. Would y'all like to introduce yourselves?
Okay, before I introduce myself, I have to point something out at Aria. 70 knots is actually 80 miles an hour, not 75. And hello, I am a puffball that likes weather.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, the Hurricane HQ is here.
And Danilo Evangelise. this here.
And I'm aided by the forecast.
Alright, so let's get right into this. I need to get over here real quick. Yeah, hold up. Okay. So let's go straight to this Joint Typhoon Warning Center. As you can see, here is where Eloise is. And again, I meant to say 65 knots.
I'll be right back.
I kind of messed up with the calculation, but whatever. I meant to say 65 knots is 75 miles an hour. But yeah, I know 70 knots is 80 miles an hour. But nevertheless, I did want to bring up the satellite imagery of Tropical Storm Eloise. And just kind of talk about its current structure. And yeah, we kind of miscalculated, didn't anticipate how much dry air there would be, but there is a lot more dry air than we thought. But it does now have winds trying to get itself back together. Winds are now up to 70 miles an hour, I think, 60 knots. So this is the latest satellite imagery of the tropical storm Eloise. And as you can see, yes, there is still some convection going on. Now, regardless of the intensity of the system, there will still be a lot of rain. There will still be gusty winds. And again, this is the second most poorest country in the entire world out of over 195 countries. So, very, very poor. They don't have a meteorological agency. The storm has a lot of rain. Over 10, 12 inch, over a foot of rain is expected. Gusty winds, potentially, again, a hurricane force winds, I should say, on the Saffir-Simpson scale is anticipated for this region when it makes landfall tomorrow evening. We will be doing a stream on this when this storm does make landfall. Okay? I do not believe it is developing an eye. I believe that this is actually just trying to get its core together and is trying to get itself situated and is still going through convection. Is there anything that y'all would like to add?
Well, honestly, I have nothing to add, but we do indeed have two other systems, Tropical Storm 93S, which is actually, I think, almost the exact same place where Danilo formed a few weeks ago, and for 92S we have a tropical cyclone formation alert.
All right, yeah, we do have a lot to talk about. Definitely this storm, because flooding is going to be absolutely it's going to be huge. All right, the flooding is going to be severe with this storm. And this area, very, very poor area. It is going to be really ugly, and I hate to say it. Again, it looks like it's making landfall near Beria, which, correct me if I'm wrong, was similar region to where Chelan made landfall a few months ago, back quite a while ago. So again, in just the next 3 days, some areas north of there could be seeing 8, 9, 10, 9, up to 10 inches of rain in some of these areas. So, flash flooding is going to be the biggest threat. There's definitely going to be some gusty winds. If we take a look at the winds and where it makes landfall, the winds are definitely going to be, not the worst, but again, they are expected to see winds as, around 74, 76 miles an hour. So, again, minimal hurricane force winds, category 1, with the wind gusts being significantly stronger, with wind gusts of near 130 miles an hour right there. So, up to 130 mile an hour wind gusts, 75 mile per hour sustained winds. And again, for a country this poor, that is a devastating storm. Up to 9 to 10 inches of rain in some areas. Very, very hot waters. Adrian's saying right there, up to 32 degrees centigrade waters. However, again, there's some dry air, which is preventing this to just go through. If there wasn't any dry air, this storm would go through rapid intensification, and again, we would be seeing obviously a hurricane. Maybe, category 4 by the time it made landfall. But since we do have some of that dry air preventing it from going through rapid intensification, we are not going to be seeing a category 4, maybe a category 1 or 2. But regardless of its intensity, we are definitely going to be seeing a lot of flooding and a lot of, some gusty winds for sure. Flooding is going to be the biggest threat for Mozambique from this storm. Now I do want to talk about the other storms. This is 13S with winds of 40 miles per hour at 35 knots, 997 millibars. Similar area to where Tropical Storm Danilo formed quite a while ago. We did overestimate the intensity of that storm. This is just something we're going to track. It's not going to be anything that's going to threaten land. It's pretty much just going to stay, away from land, and that's going to be it. Nothing impacting land at all. 14S, this is the latest, so as you can see, it is already about to make a landfall. The models were saying, oh, this is going to be a big hurricane, and as you can see, it is still 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm. Nothing came out of it. Joshua, okay, Joshua is still a tropical depression. It hasn't completely died yet. Invest 92S, that's literally the same one, so there's really not a lot to talk about. The main system that we have been talking about is Tropical Storm Eloise, which is soon to be a hurricane. Does anyone want anything? Do you all want to add anything?
Yeah. So yeah, with Tropical Storm Eloise, yeah, we could see up to a Cat 2. Although with Category 3 force wind gusts. And especially along the shore is going to be where a lot of those winds are. And most of the population actually lives off the shore, like right on the coastline. Based on what I saw on the population maps. So that can actually cause a lot of impacts.
One thing I might say is that this storm may actually impress us last minute, because although there is a lot of dry air we've seen across this low pressure, we are seeing with the convection levels that this is trying to really develop a full core. So if it does do that very quickly with the 32°C waters, this could definitely be, I wouldn't say a lot stronger, but it could be stronger than expected, which we obviously said the second poorest country. That really will bring in impacts that will see in the United States if it were a major hurricane. But we're talking 1 foot to maybe even 18 inches of rain if it's actually strengthened stronger than expected. So we're talking big time flooding. We do actually have some elevations in this country here, so we are talking maybe some minor landslides. That obviously is a possibility with if this actually strengthens a lot more, but definitely something to keep in mind. This obviously will be quite significant no matter what, because it's a very poor region in Africa, but yeah, definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah,
But
he does make, I just wanted to say, Adrian does make a good point that this could, wouldn't say rapidly intensify, but really get itself organized prior to landfall. We have seen this with a lot of storms, but with this system, there's some dry air, but again, it's over 32°C waters. It could really get itself organized very, very quickly, and we could, again, see it potentially, we've already have a devastating threat for Mozambique, but this intensifies a lot more. This could get really ugly really fast overnight. Tomorrow morning, who knows? We could be seeing a moderate to a powerful Category 1 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale, and easily, like you said, 10 to 18 inches of rain. This slows down something happens, it stalls, which it isn't supposed to. But if it were to stall, or more rain were to be dumped on Mozambique, we could be seeing potentially, if it gets any stronger and more powerful, 2 feet of rain. Then we have a potential of having some storm surge in this area. If we see Category 2 winds, if we see 100-mile-an-hour cyclone make landfall in this area, we could see some storm surge. And that area does not need does not need anything. This is a very, very poor country, second poorest country in the world. So this is going to be very devastating. This would be equivalent of a major hurricane for the United States. This is just going to be, it's going to be bad in terms of flooding.
Yeah, and like what I was saying earlier, a lot of the population lives along the coast, so that could actually cause a lot of well, yeah, just a lot more people live along the coasts, and that just leaves more people at risk from storm surge, flooding, and wind.
All right. So I don't like considering forecasts, like making forecasts just based on how close it is to land, but I basically have to at this point, considering the dry air and how close it is to land. I would say it would only be a 75 to 80 mile an hour system at its peak. I think it will try and drop off a bit before landfall. I'm expecting a 75 to 80 mile an hour peak, 70 to 75 mile an hour landfall. But it doesn't matter which category it is on any of the scales. It still does matter. We still have flooding and wind risks, and we have storm surge, urban flooding, if they do have urban areas, and landslides, as this is since I think this is a mountainous region. Am I correct? Is Mozambique?
Yeah, the coast is somewhat mountainous.
Okay,
Yeah.
landslide risks too.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. Landslides, mudslides, flooding, possibly some storm surge, like they said, 10 to 18 inches of rain in some areas. Again, it doesn't matter how strong it is. Doesn't matter if it's a category. It doesn't matter if it's a tropical storm or a category 5. This is the biggest threat for this area is going to be flooding. Not the winds, the flooding. There's mountains in this area. We have a lot of mountains in this area, so we're going to have a lot of landslides, mudslides, heavy, heavy rain. And a lot of people live on the coast. They don't live inland. A lot of these people live on the coast, so there's going to be a lot of flooding in this area. And we're going to watch this, and we're going to be doing a lot longer stream tomorrow evening, into the nighttime, as the storm is expected to make landfall tomorrow evening, United States time. So we're going to be doing a lot of coverage of the storm as it makes landfall. And this could get itself organized, and we could see a category, even a category 2, but regardless of how much more it gets organized, the flooding is just going to outweigh all the other dangers involved with a tropical cyclone generally. And definitely in this circumstance, the flooding is just going to outweigh all the other it's going to outweigh all the other dangers with the tropical cyclone. Y'all agree?
Definitely. Considering the max peak, they have 75 knots, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, around 85-ish miles an hour, or I think 84, 86, something like that. Considering that's the peak, and with the mountainous region weakening maybe 5-10 miles an hour before landfall, that's still going to be quite significant for the southwestern Africa region. Even 50 plus miles inland, this could still be a very large flooding threat. Again, this could still be stronger than expected. There's still a chance for that. I wouldn't say it's super likely, but considering the atmospheric conditions, other than the actual dry air, this does have a chance to potentially become slightly stronger. I mean, we can maybe talk 90 mile an hour peak if it surprises us. But either way, this will bring in some devastating winds, considering the construction waves in this region and what they've been through for the past few months, considering flooding wise. So it's going to be easily flooded. This region's easily flooded because of what they've been through for the past few weeks. Very moist, a very moist region, and the soil is quite wet. So we're talking maybe 10 inches of rain, but it's going to flood very, very easily. And we're talking big time flash flooding. We're talking some dangerous storm surge. So definitely something to keep in mind, even if it's not too long, considering that we're obviously mainly from the U.S., considering that we're all used to Category 5s and 4s that we've seen in the 2020 season. But for this region, a minimal Category 1 is quite significant.
Yeah. And even with the very saturated ground, we'll bring a lot of trees down. a lot of power outages.
So we have a question. Someone is asking if it will stall. I do not believe it is expected to stall. I believe it's supposed to make landfall. I do believe it's going to weaken before landfall and move inland. But correct me if I'm wrong. It's not supposed to stall.
No, I believe you're correct. It is supposed to slow down slightly, I believe, before landfall, but nothing close to it stalling. It will move fairly quickly through Mozambique.
Yeah, we're not gonna have like a Hurricane Harvey or anything. It's just gonna move right on through. Nothing like a Harvey or a Florence. It's supposed to just move right on through. Maybe slow down a little bit, but nothing like, it's just gonna move right on through. We're not gonna have a Harvey or a Florence situation.
I am expecting that Mozambique may get impacts. Well, the coast of Mozambique may get impacts for 6 to 14 hours. Like the others said, there is a chance of it slowing down, but I wouldn't think it would be stalling. And I'll just check the size of a storm real quick, see how small it is.
Yeah, the worst scenario is that this does stall, which obviously isn't super likely, but we've been surprised. We can all agree we've been surprised with the past 2 months for tropical systems. Obviously, the Atlantic is way different than obviously the Indian Ocean. However, this does have a chance to become stronger. The good and bad side about mountains, I said this before with Iota and Eta, with obviously the Central American mountains. There's a good and bad side with mountains. The mountains can weaken the system before landfall, but the bad side is it can cause more rain and obviously landslides. And landslides do tend to be the biggest killer when it comes to the flooding criteria. So definitely you do not want to see landslides. And landslides was the largest killer when it came to Eta and Iota and even Delta. So definitely there's a lot of bad sides to the mountains, but obviously a lot of good sides. This will weaken the storm, even if it becomes stronger than expected, but definitely going to cause bigger flooding threats.
Yeah, we can all agree with that. There's going to be a lot of flooding. That's the main thing that we kind of want to focus on, is the main flooding. Now, there aren't any cameras in this region. There are hardly any weather stations, so we aren't going to get live footage of the storm making landfall, and we're not really going to get live weather data. So we're just going to be talking about the storm making landfall tomorrow and the flooding impacts and the landslides and the mudslides and potentially the storm surge and it's slowing down weakening before making landfall. And answer y'all's questions tomorrow as this is making landfall, to keep y'all updated as the storm makes landfall tomorrow evening Central Time.
And well, Adrian, I know that you mentioned Ada. The only reason that Ada barely came out alive was thanks to the mountains in Central America. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of damage considering Ada's size and how powerful it is. But even if this doesn't become a 4, which most likely it won't, even tropical storms and minimal hurricanes are still serious. They can take some serious impacts.
Definitely, and yeah, I wasn't using Ada to compare to this. I was just giving an example of what mountains can do. But obviously, considering the region, this obviously won't be Eloise obviously won't be compared to Ada just because they're a poor country, but definitely these impacts, whether it's a borderline hurricane or tropical storm, the impacts will be a lot worse than if it were to happen in the United States. So this could be equivalent to a Category 2 damage if you were in the U.S. If you were in the actual Southwestern African region, but definitely won't be Ada. hopefully it won't. Obviously, it shouldn't, but it's still going to bring in some very harsh impacts, even if it's a bit weaker than what we usually expect.
Yes.
Now I'll
yeah,
mention another storm that. Oh, who was talking? Who was originally talking after Adrian?
me.
Okay, I guess I'm.
Yeah, so models have been doing a weakening trend. Like originally, Euro was showing a Category 4 landfall. It's now showing a Category 1 to 2 landfall. GFS was showing a Category 3. Now it's showing a Category 1. H-Wharf was showing a Cat 5. Now it's only showing a Cat 1. Yeah, so we're really getting back to so it won't be as strong as we originally anticipated, but definitely we could have major impact still due to the fact that this is the second poorest country in the world, and we could have waves crashing from 40 to 80 feet, 30 to 80 feet.
Yeah.
This is just. I feel bad, I feel bad for the people, but if you're watching this and you have a chance, you have a car, if you happen to have a car and you have someplace to go, please leave please leave while you can, because we are serious that has the potential of costing people's lives, and we don't want to scare anybody. We're just here to inform and save lives, but we really want, if you're watching this and you're from Mozambique, please leave. We don't want any deaths to happen from this. We just want everyone to be safe where they are, and we're just here to inform. So if you're watching this, please, as soon as you can, pack your stuff and evacuate your town, your city, your village, your house, and get to a place that is safe. If you happen to be near a hotel or a sturdy concrete building, the storm isn't going to be as super powerful in terms of winds, but if you can find a concrete building, get to the top. Winds aren't going to be a problem, so the winds won't completely destroy the building if it's made out of concrete. Get to the top of that building and get away from the waters. The waters will kill you. You people don't realize what's in the water because you can't see more than an inch in that water. There could be ants. People don't realize this, but ants, they don't drown. They will swim, and if you're out there, trying to swim to get to a higher place, those ants will bite you. It happened to me before during Harvey. Ants can swim. So please, if you have the chance, get to a higher place as soon as possible. And do not swim in flooded waters. Turn around, don't drown.
Yeah,
Also-
I just want. I'll puff while you talk.
Okay. And we also have another storm that may be threatening land. We have a 92S. It actually has a tropical cyclone formation alert as of the latest update I
It's
saw.
formed.
Oh, it's already formed? Okay, guess I'll name it 15S. Is it 15S? Okay, so it is now considered tropical storm 13S, and we're not really looking at the wind impacts right now, as it is only 40 miles an hour. However, not trying to take this the wrong way. 40 miles an hour is definitely a lot of wind, especially if it's sustained. And gusts do exist. I believe it's up to 52 mile an hour gusts. But I'm mainly looking at the rainfall impacts right now. So we may get some urban flooding and some storm surge, maybe. Not sure if 40 mile an hour systems do storm surge, though. But okay. So
Can I say something really quickly?
Yeah.
Now there's one problem with going to concert buildings and stuff. Those are really only in the capital. Pretty much everywhere. So in the capital, there's a lot of skyscrapers, concrete buildings, but that's really only for the capital. Everywhere else, it's like villages, and the capital's on the coast. And it's not like they have a whole sand beach. No, it's water and then the buildings. Like in Greece or somewhere, there's no sand. It's just the whole ocean, and then there's a wall, and then it's the buildings. It's gonna be like that.
But yeah, I don't really know Mozambique very well, so I don't know what their infrastructure is. But again, if you just please, get away from this water, away from this storm as soon as you possibly can. This is going to be if you stay where you are right now and you are in a little shack, a hut, your house is going to get flooded. Your house is most likely going to get blown away if you have 80, 60 to 70 mile an hour sustained winds, gusts over 80 miles per hour. If you're in a shack, your house will not survive at all.
Something I'm noticing with the European model right now is that they are showing an increasing rate of precipitated water, which obviously is something I guess you could say alarming, because this could show a potential developing moisture bubble, which obviously can help protect the core low pressure from any dryers. So if this continues, it's definitely something alarming that definitely can indicate some type of strengthening. Obviously, this is expected to strengthen to 85 miles an hour. However, if it does seem to have more precipitated water in that 32 degrees Celsius waters, and it's getting more and more quote unquote kind of food, I guess you could say that, then something to keep in mind as it nears landfall.
Yes.
Mhm.
Just gonna.
Also, I would like to point out that the actual pronunciation to the storm is Eloise.
Can you repeat that?
Eloise, that's the pronunciation to the
Eloise?
storm.
So I'm guessing that the way it sounds, it's French,
Yeah, I think so.
because like Sioux City and all that, that's all like French stuff.
Mhm.
All right,
Yeah, I
that's
guess
good.
so.
That's good to know. I've been saying Eloise or something like that this whole time. Well, that's good to know. Thank you for telling me how to pronounce this storm correctly, and so I'm not like offending anyone anymore. So, is there anything else we need to talk about? Because I'm pretty sure we've covered everything for this storm impacting Madagascar or Mozambique. I'm sorry.
Go. I have to go. Bye.
All
I'll
right.
talk later tomorrow. Bye.
All right. Bye. I think we have covered everything for this storm, given the fact that there's going to be lots of flooding and potential storm surge, gusty winds, and to evacuate. Is there anything else that we need to cover with this storm or any other storm?
No, I don't think so.
I think that's about
I
it.
don't not tropical wise, but there's a lot of other things we can talk about.
Alright, everyone, that's going to be it for today. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will talk to you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. With all that being said, peace out.